the Baller Scholar Podcast.
Alright, let's talk about these Boston Celtics, because something's wrong right now.
Oh, you're telling me.
You know, what are we shooting, 500 right now?
Yep, 14-14, fifth in the East.
Which, as a Celtics fan, fifth in the East, you're like, alright, I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah.
But
the state of the East in general is just, really bad right now.
Yeah, but they're about, they're only, 1.5 games out of being at the 9th seed.
That's true. It's very, compressed.
They're, a 4-game losing skid would put them at, 13th in the East.
That would be crazy, but not impossible.
Exactly. So right now in their last 10, they're 4-6. I think before that, last game was a win, so they were 3-7 in their last 10. Or no, last game wasn't even a win; it was the fucking Hawks.
Yep.
I mean, it's just it's so frustrating. You watch these guys; they're a game above the Knicks, a game above the Raptors, a game above the Hornets. One loss puts them at the 8th seed, but they're only 4.5 games back of the 1 seed, which obviously isn't bad, but if they were playing how they should be, or how people expected them to be.
We've hit a critical juncture, I think, right here.
It's crazy, because think about it. Before the season, look at this team. What did you expect them to be? Everyone's like, oh, this is a deep team.
You can pull up the NBA predictions that we had. I think I had them 4 or 5, but definitely not at 500.
I had them a lot higher. It's just expectation-wise, we might have had high hopes because those are the Celtics.
I mean, you're coming in with...
It's shown they're one injury away from being so depleted. If a big gets hurt, if a wing gets hurt, if a point guard gets hurt, they're going to be hurting in one of those sections, if not 2 of those, if somebody's not playing up to their standards. So right now, even when Smart was there, if there was an injury to Tatum had COVID. You were missing in the wing. Jaylen Brown stepped up 100%. They were playing well. But you were missing in the wing, and then the point guards weren't playing amazing either, so you were missing at point guard too. They're with an injury, right now they're missing Smart. Kemba's not there back-to-backs. Tice is out. So you have Thompson playing and Rob Williams playing. Okay? They're not playing awful. They really aren't. Nope. But Tice definitely helps. But you're also lacking in point guard because of how much of Kemba's struggles have affected you lately, and having Marcus Smart out. So you have 14 guys going a night pretty much. And, 9 to 11 of those people come on in the first quarter. Semi Ojeleye, Javonte Green. I mean, Jeff Teague, poor guy, he's struggling. Too many turnovers. It's tough. So you look at that, and he's not even playing at this point. You had Carson Edwards had his week to shine. Who else had? Grant Williams had a week to shine. It's a revolving door about who's starting. I mean, what are they? 9 starting lineups deep this season?
Probably more than that. 15.
Yeah, exactly.
With all the injuries.
Yeah. Let's see. Sorry I interrupted you a few times.
No, I like your points.
What were you going to say?
Well, we're talking expectations coming in. When you have Tatum and Brown, I mean, you automatically think you're gonna win the gimme games. And we talk about all the time in terms of trying to get a good seed in the playoffs. You got to win the games you're supposed to win, and so Pistons Wizards back-to-back losses is kind of a concern. Where you're thinking about the panic button a little bit.
Then you drop the Hawks.
And then you drop to the Hawks. And you have 16 starting lineups so far.
Actually? Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
That's 16 in 28 games. So you're basically having a different starting lineup every other game. And, I mean, in this COVID year, we're seeing how different teams are responding to guys being out. There's pretty much no team in the league that hasn't, missed guys because of COVID or injury. And like you look at the Clippers were able to win without Kawhi, without Paul George, just with Kawhi. You know, some of the better teams have been able to win. Like the Jazz continue winning without Mike Conley. You know,
Yeah.
Portland keeps winning. Brooklyn has found ways to win without, you know, their big three. And like it just hasn't happened for the Celtics.
I think you look at someone like Portland, you look at someone like the Jazz. They're as much as it might not seem like it for Portland at least. Those are both deep teams, and they have guys
Yeah.
that can be a starter on other teams off their bench. And you look at the Celtics, and they really don't have that.
They do not.
Who's their best person off the bench? I mean, Pritchard.
Yeah. Right now, at least. I mean, normally I would say Marcus,
Yeah, and even Marcus would probably,
but
depending on what they roll with. I mean, when he comes back, he might start.
I probably will. I wouldn't be surprised.
And then they put Tatum at the 4 and Thompson or Tyson there and run really small. But you know,
So are you, like, how nervous are you right now?
I mean, today the reports were that Danny Ainge says that this team could not win a title.
And he took the blame for that,
And and
which
that's
is,
the
like,
thing.
weird, but
Everyone was like, "Oh, Danny Ainge says that this team can't win a title." He didn't say that this team sucks. He said this is his fault. He screwed up.
yeah, basically he said
And
the team
people-
I put together
People left
is
that
not
part
going to
out.
contend.
So
Yeah.
I'm less nervous because I'm nervous. Don't get me wrong, but I'm less nervous because there's someone to blame.
Right. Well, at least
You
he
know what I
didn't,
mean?
like, you know, cast aspersions or whatever and say, like, well, it's Kemba's fault or Brad's not doing it or... I
Well,
mean, he
also
basically said, like, it's not Tatum or Brown's fault without saying, like, yeah, basically the rest of our roster is, like, terrible. He
Or
kind of said that
Brad.
without saying it, you know?
He hyped up Brad too, didn't he?
Yeah, and he said, like, Brad has nothing to do with, like, the kind of whatever, the downswing that they've had. But, like,
Yes.
I don't know,
Sorry.
going forward, everyone, I mean, I know Boston community is always, it feels like Boston is always rumored to have, like, big free agents come in. There's always trades, like, wheeling and dealing. Danny Ainge very rarely actually, like, happen. I don't know what goes down before the trade deadline that could
There's
actually
always
help them.
rumors.
It's always rumors.
And you know, 1 week it goes to Harrison Barnes, and it's like Harrison Barnes is off limits. Then it's where are they at now? Drummond. There was a point in time
Vucevic.
Lonzo Ball, Steven Adams.
Basically
Vucevic.
anyone that's, like, getting shopped around.
They're like, oh well, that would fit with the Celtics. Of course it would. Of course it would.
But then
Right.
there's always, like, that faction of people that are like, if you think that guy will help the Celtics, you haven't been watching or something like that. I've seen that with
Yeah.
Drummond. Even with, like, Harrison Barnes, I feel like, I mean, I feel like at that time where he was doing really well and now he's hit, like, a downswing too.
Yeah, I mean, you have to look at consistency. You have to look at durability. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't like we talk about it all the time. Harrison Barnes got, you know, kind of like he robbed the the Mavs,
Yeah, he got, like, max money.
and
More or
like
less.
probably wasn't deserving of it, but looked at the time because of where the situation looked as if he was.
Yeah.
So you I don't know. There's a lot there. I'm not gonna get into that shit, but you know, right now they talk about Blake.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, I love Blake. It's like, do you love the old Blake? Do you know what the new Blake's like?
Well-
do you like the idea of having Blake on your team because of the name?
I mean, yeah, I think that's part of it, like the recognition. Because I've also seen things that are like, oh, if Blake goes to the Lakers or Nets, does he make them, like, instant contenders or something? And it's like, what Blake Griffin are we talking about? Because, like,
Yeah.
I don't know, there's a possibility we have, like, a Nicholas Batum situation where, like, if Blake, because, like, think about it, Blake's mindset playing for the Pistons right now can't be, like, you know, he's going to go all out. But if he goes to a team that's, like, at least in the playoff race, I mean, I could see him at least being better than, like, you know, and if he's playing with better players, he's going to get better looks, you know?
Stephen A.
So,
Smith said this the other day. He was like, Max Kellerman was arguing that that Blake would just be a high-priced role player,
right.
and
I mean, he's not going to be worth $36 million for the next 2 years. But
yeah, so like,
if you have
so
Kemba, who's at the same contract, I mean, you kind of pick your poison,
Kemba,
You know?
and the way they talk about it too is that um, like it, Blake, like what you said, Blake could go to LA. I mean, he's in Detroit right now. There's nothing pretty about that. Like for
No.
a variety of reasons, and it doesn't help that like Detroit is it's like a shitty place to be, but they're also like they have no chance of winning
No. I don't know why they don't
anything.
just eat his contract. Like, just might as well just keep him there. I don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
so it's such a weird situation. So I'm not interested in Blake. I'm not interested in like these guys that were gonna take on this money, especially Blake. Like
yeah, he's a lot of money, man.
It's someone that people are considering buying out.
Right.
Like, why would we trade like the house for that? Same thing with
Yeah.
John Collins. You're gonna give up a lot for John Collins and not be able to afford him, or you know what I mean?
No,
He's
probably not.
gone. And does John Collins help you win now? No.
Well, he does, but not like like a
I meant
title.
championship.
Like if you're
yeah,
gonna.
I'm saying
yeah.
title. Like, do you win a title trading for John Collins? Is it worth that? I'm not saying you have to trade for someone now to win the title, but there's guys that you have to look and be like, okay, that guy can make us deeper. This guy can make us deeper.
Right.
I mean,
No, yeah, that's a good point. Like, I think it's not about finding like a third star as it is just finding a little more depth and maybe experience coming off the bench.
they,
It's like
they tried doing that with Teague, and that didn't work.
yeah, Teague's a head scratcher because I feel like, I mean, I've talked about Wayne Ellington a lot just recently, but he's just like a random guy that's like doing awesome.
Yeah,
I feel
doing
like
well.
Teague could have been that, where it's like, yeah, he's in like the back half of his career. He's not gonna like, make any highlight reel plays, but he'll be like a solid guy. He'll hit some open threes, facilitate some of the like second unit offense. And it just hasn't happened. It hasn't clicked. And he's had like ample opportunity to do so with Kemba out. Pritchard was out for a little bit. And I just don't like that. They're in a problem here where really like right now, what do you think the Celtics' most valuable asset is that they would be willing to give up?
Okay, yeah, that they would be willing to give up. I mean, let's see what they have for picks right now.
I think they have like their own firsts for. I don't think they've given up any of their firsts. I don't think they have any other ones though. Like they kind of ran out of that like whole wealth of picks that they had.
Yeah, 2021 they have Celtics first and second rounders and a Thunder second rounder, but the pick would not transfer because the Thunder pick is currently top 55, so it's top 55 protected.
That's like the dumbest thing I've ever heard. What? The Celtics get it if it's bottom 5. Why even bother?
That's what they got
That's
for
hilarious.
Vincent Poirier. They gave Vincent Poirier cash for that pick.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's basically just like giving them up for a free.
Next year you have a first. No, they paid money to them. They're like, here, you can have Vincent Poirier
and his little bonus.
Yeah.
For a potential
top 55 protected.
Well, and the Thunder would have to be like in the top 5 of the league, right?
Yeah.
Oh god.
Awesome.
That's funny.
So then the next year you have a round 1, round 2. Then you have a Hornets pick. Oh no. Yeah, a Hornets pick, top 55 protected.
Okay.
That you got.
So that's some other
Hayward
weird
sign and
draft day
trade
thing. Yeah. Okay.
And then when you get to 2023, this is where things get crazy. Actually,
I mean, just if there's a first round at this point, because like that's the only thing that will matter.
It is a Celtics first rounder, and then all second round here. Ready? So it's a Celtics second rounder that the Hornets get, I believe, or no, they got from the Hornets, and then a Heat second rounder that went to the Mavericks for A.J. Hammonds.
That was like a late second round guy.
Yeah.
A long time ago.
Then it went to the Grizzlies for DeLon Wright. The rights to Satnam Singh. And then it went to the Celtics for Enes Kanter, traded to the Blazers. Rights to Devin Baines in a 3-team deal. Yeah, so that one's got a lot.
so
You have a Mavs pick that's the same thing. Through a Dillon Wright trade. Celtics have another one. Actually, it's for that same trade, just broken down. They have a second round pick from the Mavs.
Okay.
Then you have a Rockets pick from the Cantor trade. Okay, so
That's a second rounder?
Yeah, these are all second rounders. They have no other teams' first rounders.
All right, so really, like, asset-wise, they have their own picks, basically.
Yeah.
We can say that.
Yeah, you only have a first rounder for the Celtics, a Celtics first rounder from 2021 to 2028. That's it.
Yeah, okay. So
you have
that's
other
basically...
Yeah.
And I don't know. We'll see what the Celtics' future holds, but, I mean, you can assume those picks will probably be, like, between 20 and 30.
Sorry to sidetrack, but like you said, the best asset that they have that you're willing to trade is... Would you say that Smart is tradable? Like, I don't want to. I don't think they're willing to, but I think they would.
The problem... I agree, Smart, probably, like, contract-wise. The thing is, like... Smart isn't someone that, like, a rebuilding team would want, I don't think.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the Celtics, like, anyone that's going to be looking to, like, offload, like, a starter or, like, a, sixth or seventh man is going to be probably someone in the bottom half.
Yeah.
Which, so I don't know, maybe... Yeah. I mean, like, you can say that, like, prospects on paper... But, I don't know if any team's going to look at the Celtics, like, last 3 years draft picks and really be like, yeah, that's someone that we see starting for our team in a couple of years.
Would you say, like, Rob or Romeo?
I think Rob right now is, like, I don't see the Celtics trading Pritchard. I think Pritchard is more valuable than Rob. But I do think Rob would be someone I would look at. Mm-hmm. Because he's been playing really well,
Yeah. I think a lot of teams want Tice, too, which is weird.
I mean, Tice... Yeah, I mean...
He fits in with so many different systems.
Yeah, because, he's doesn't need shots. He can hit the three, plays hard, fouls a lot,
Pick and roll offense.
A little bully ball.
Like, yeah. So, it's tough because... Am I nervous? Yes, like, I'm still nervous, but at this point, like, they know this isn't their team that they need to roll with, so they recognize. They're not, like, being, like, stupid and being like, oh, yeah, like, no, we'll be alright. We just gotta, like, keep learning from each other. That's what all the guys keep saying. But Danny's like, no, we're not good. And so, I like that they're saying this stuff, but it is disappointing. And this is the most underperforming Boston team in a while.
Yeah, I think the expectations were high. They did make the Eastern Conference Finals last year, so you'd expect the same, if not, reach the finals. I think that's reasonable. Obviously, losing Hayward, I think, did a lot more than we might have thought. Mm-hmm. And I do think they missed it, like the sign and trade with Indiana to get, even if it was just Turner, would have done a ton for the Celtics team, I feel like. Even if Turner played like he had and not had played like at this ridiculous level where he's blocking 4 shots a game, just to have him as opposed to nobody because they didn't get anyone for Hayward, I think was a big mistake, and I don't know if I feel like that's kind of just generally known at this point. But obviously you have the trade exception now, so it's just a matter of what you can do with it.
Hear me out here. I know this like USA thing is coming up soon. Mm-hmm. Some weird people up there trying to play, but
so tryout, you think?
Well, so yeah. I think there's only a couple of names that are actually on display.
Okay.
Coming up, and my question for you is, if the Celtics were to make a trade for, a good role guy, an off the bench role guy, or they pick up Blake in a like where Blake's contract gets, dropped by Pistons and they pick him up. Or say you, trying to figure this out in my head. Say you get rid of Jeff Teague somehow, you trade him away.
Just
Even
waive
if you
him.
traded away, well, you say Kemba or Teague go. You're short at the point guard depth.
Yeah.
Do you bring, or even you just trade Teague away with someone else? Do you consider Isaiah Thomas as a guy to fill those shoes? Like, do you think it's worth taking the risk? I mean, it really.
It's like, what's the risk at this point, Mm-hmm. But also,
it's all depending on how he plays.
Well, it depends on like his mindset too, because if he thinks he's gonna come in and average like 28, like he did that one year, because it's crazy. We have this like romantic view of Isaiah Thomas because he was so sick that one season. I mean, it's just like he's, I don't know, in his early 30s now. I think if he could be some instant offense off the bench, that would be perfect. I would definitely consider it. Like, there's no reason not to.
He's played with these guys. Like, a big chunk of these guys, coach, Jaylen Brown's smart. Did he ever play with Tatum? I don't think he got to.
No, I don't think so.
I think that was the off season where he got traded. I think they might have like met each other, and I think there's got to be some sort of chemistry with these guys, especially Jaylen, especially Smart, and then Brad.
And IT would bring some fire too,
And don't forget about Evan Turner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, these guys, he'd bring fire, and he knows the culture.
Yeah.
I know he said before that they've tried so many times to try to get this to work, but he said the other day, it will never work out.
Damn.
But like,
well, weird for him because like, they didn't like betray him because they got Kyrie, but still kind of awkward. I feel like.
I really think somebody's gonna give him a chance, and I
hope so.
I hope that it's us.
Yeah, that would be cool.
But I don't.
But obviously, but then if he's like really bad, then it's kind of tough. But
I'd take that
Jeff
risk.
Teague sets a low bar.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, who else do you think? Because here's the other approach: is like maybe the Celtics, we accept like this season we're not going to win a title, okay, but we try and maximize what we can for next season. We look at like how do we free up cap space over this deadline? How do we make us a little more flexible going into free agency? Maybe using that trade exception in the off season, and be like, all right, we'll be happy like a 5 seed, try and do the best we can with what we got now, but really try and prepare to either land like another star in like a trade or through free agency, or maybe try and find a way to move up in the draft. Like, is there any like credence to trying to do something like that? I mean, it's not obviously like throwing the towel in and just being like, we're gonna tank, but like maybe you
can't. Sorry, go on.
Like Tristan's like $9 million next year. Like I think we can get someone better than Tristan Thompson for like $9-10 million. We'll have to look at like Tice is expiring. See if you re-sign him, or you can kind of like get someone that's like Tice and Thompson combined for like 15.
I think you need guys like Tice. You need someone like that can either A, come off the bench, or B, start, and not be like, oh god, they're starting.
What would you pay Tice?
I don't know, bro. Like the way people are getting paid right now,
it's weird
because
probably like
close to like 15 mil a year.
Yeah, because like Serge only got like 10, but like Bertans got 5 for 80, and you're like
broke the bank. Yeah, I
think Serge is more valuable than Bertans, so I think someone would be willing to give Tice. Yeah, like I was seeing like 10 to 15. Yeah, I don't know if the Celtics. We'll see if the Celtics can afford that.
I was thinking 15 to like 18. Like I think upwards of 15. I mean, I really think that like this like contract pricing isn't like there's inflation to be.
Maybe I'll take a discount.
You would hope,
but someone could. I could see someone giving him like Mason Plumlee money, and you're just like, damn.
Yeah, I mean, you look at all of this now. So I would be willing to bring on like a guy like IT because they
Yeah.
need things like that. They need people that can actually score off the bench. He wouldn't start now. Okay, if they signed him
Well, and if
over
Kemba's
Teague,
not playing back-to-backs, maybe he does start on those second nights.
yeah, I mean,
Or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe
when
he's
does
just off the
let's
bench.
see, Smart injury news? Like how much time does he have? It says he's looking better and progressing towards a return. That's what they keep saying. Looked a lot better when Brad Stevens last saw him on court. You know, like
Yeah, okay.
and they upgraded it to a calf tear. You know,
Yeah.
so
He's probably going to be like minutes restriction, not playing back-to-backs. I don't know. I think we'll see kind of how they handle that. If they like sit him out until he's like 100%, or they try and ease him back in.
you probably won't see Smart, Romeo, maybe even Tice until after this All-Star break.
You think? Tyson's just a finger. You don't think he can be back in like the next week?
It's a finger sprain, so I think he could be back. But Romeo and Smart are out. I mean,
I feel like I still feel like just the way Tice plays, he could play without a finger.
yeah. Do you think Romeo could make any sort of difference? Like, do you think now
I have
that, like,
no
this
idea.
wrist, yeah.
Like, what is Romeo Langford, bro? I don't even know anything about like how he plays, what he does well, what he doesn't do well. Like, there's such a small sample size. And if he's coming off injury, and if the Celtics are trying to win games, like, I don't know how much room. I mean, in our rotation, maybe there's room for more, but like, I hope so, because it's a 14th overall pick.
Instead of, like, I don't know, Javante, you start playing him those minutes. Like,
Might as well.
I think I would feel comfortable. I hope so. Where it was like a guy that actually played high-level basketball his whole life.
Because I was thinking, like, maybe the Celtics are playing all these guys, right, to try and show, other teams what they can do. And then it's like they have been playing awful. And it's almost like with Romeo, like, if he sucks, maybe it's just better to try and trade him before he shows whether he's good or not,
Yeah, like, take that risk. But how much value does he have when you do that?
I have no idea. I'm trying, like, does he have more value now, not knowing how good he is, versus if he steps on the floor, plays 5 games, and doesn't do anything?
Like, we don't know how he feels either. Like, he hasn't played basketball in 6 months.
Yeah. That's gotta be weird.
So,
Taco hasn't seen a lot of time, though. I'll mention that.
thankfully. It's really, this is like it's humiliating, this team. I really am so disappointed, like, on how it panned out, and, like, even disappointed in, like, myself as a fan, thinking, like, this team was deep enough to, like, I feel conned to thinking that this team was...
We recently saw, when we were looking at highlights, a Celtics team that started Amir Johnson be a 1 seed in the East. So we know it's just like Brad Stevens has a way of, like, overachieving with, like, weird teams, and then suddenly once expectations get high, it doesn't happen, know?
And,
And this is with Jaylen, like, taking a huge step up. Which is kind of like silver lining, I guess, but also really disappointing in that he's been playing great. Tatum's been like pretty much the same, I think, more or less.
I think the two Jays really need to start figuring out how to coexist and pass the ball together, or else
That would be nice.
with the way the new NBA is, you could have one of them requesting a trade, or expressing how not content they are. Yeah.
Well, then you have to ask, what could you get for one of them?
Jaylen has like that Kyrie potential.
You think
where
so?
He could blow, not like playing wise. I'm saying like that Kyrie potential to like blow up and do like, I want to be my own person, blah blah blah, and get out of here. Like, I understand that to a degree.
Really?
I think so. I think he's a weird guy.
He definitely is a weird guy. I mean, they're all. I feel like they're all kind of weird guys on this team, which might explain something. I always thought Jaylen, though. Yeah, I don't know. I know he's butt heads with like Smart in the bubble, and like that was kind of the first indication, I think, that maybe this locker room isn't as good as we'd hope. And that was when we talked about Brad Stevens just not being kind of like the kind of guy to get people fired up and get everyone on the same page, just as like an emotional leader, you know?
Yeah.
And I talked about this when I was looking at kind of which teams have, you know, certain criteria in like terms of contending for a title. And you look at any team that's won it in the past like decade, they always have that kind of vocal leader that LeBron's always been. And like Kyle Lowry was that for the Raptors, and you know, Draymond was like that for the Warriors. Like, it doesn't have to be your best player, but like just someone that like pushes teammates, you know. And there are stars like KD's never been that guy, Kawhi's never been that guy, and Jaylen and Tatum are kind of at this point where they're still young, but I feel like at some point, if they're going to be like leaders of this team and stick around in Boston for a long time, like they got to figure out the locker room thing.
Yeah, I think it's concerning to me when like Tatum says his best friend on the team is Javante. It really is. It's so tough. And I think another big thing for the Celtics is their free throw shooting sucks.
Yeah,
They don't get to the line often, and when they do, like
they never do. It seems like past couple years.
and when they do, it's garbage. I mean, Smart shooting 74%, Brown 77.
Yeah.
Let's see who else.
Well, Thompson's not a notoriously great shooter.
Tice is under 70, but even Thompson is at 61%. I would have expected worse, I guess.
Yeah, actually, I would have thought he was in the 50s.
66%. Javante Green 70%. You know, Ojale 72%. Like these guys, like you know. The Celtics are taking, I want to see it like team stat wise.
Yeah, let me bring it up.
Free throws attempted a game, they are taking 22 a game. I don't really know what that is league rank.
It's like 14th.
14th, yeah. For those guys, for the amount that Tatum and Brown have the ability to drive, dunk on people, like get in there. Like first off, they aren't getting the calls. I really think the referees don't give them the respect they deserve down in the paint.
Yeah.
But I think that excuse can be bullshit from time to time. So I really just think they aren't earning the contact that they
Right. I think they get.
They should.
Well, I'll throw this out here too, kind of transitioning to like All-Star talk a little bit. They showed like the voting results for the fan, player, and media, and Jaylen ranked second in media, so he would have been starting in the All-Star game if it was up to the media. Fifth in player rank and fifth in fan rank, and then Tatum was also fifth media, fifth player, fourth in fan. I don't know, it's interesting. I don't really understand. I still understand why Kyrie is such like a fan favorite. I feel like, and it's weird that the media had Jaylen higher than like anyone but Beal.
Yeah.
Just like weird.
Global presence, I guess, for Kyrie.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But
the
like,
All-Star voting is it just shows that it's bullshit. If Jaylen Brown, I don't even know what Kyrie's numbers are.
I mean, they're pretty good, but not the same amount of games, you know?
Yeah, let me go to them. Like, if I could compare, Kyrie is about 28 points a game, 6 assists, 5 rebounds. That's actually a pretty decent season for 20 games. But do you think that if Jaylen Brown had those numbers, like those exact numbers, like I don't think he's too far off. Let me see. Jaylen is up around 25, 3 and 5, with a steal and a block. If Brown, bumped it up a little, I don't think it would have made a difference in who got the All-Star vote. I think Kyrie is just, it goes by fan favorite, and that's why the fans vote for the starters. And everyone else has a bigger influence on what matters more,
Yeah.
Unlike where there's more people involved, more players.
Right.
Um,
Well, the players clearly respect both of those guys to some degree to have. I feel like both of them
Yeah.
kind of ended up more or less where they belonged. But other guys like Hayward's player rank was 15,
oh, that's
and like Trey Young was 11, which is a weird
Yeah.
one. That
I think a lot of guys go with the friends.
I think guys just hate Trey Young, and probably
Seems
Gordon
like-
Hayward.
Yeah.
Which is also
I feel
like player
Gordon
vote's a
Hayward
weird
hates them.
thing too, because it's like it's kind of a conflict of interest. But also it's
Yeah.
like fans have their own problem. Media, there's probably just no. Maybe just have computers do it. Just have Basketball Reference spit out like 10 guys.
Who should be the All-Stars?
But I think like Brown and Tatum are locks, don't you think, for reserves?
I think Brown is, but I think Tatum will be. But from what people are saying right now, I think Brown is more of a lock than Tatum.
I think just because Tatum has there's really no reason, because they were both third overall picks. And like,
Yeah.
there's no reason to think Tatum should be better than Brown necessarily. Just maybe he started off his career like at a better point, and like Jaylen just improved like incrementally.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I don't know. Like Tatum has had, I guess he's just kind of plateaued, but like his numbers are arguably better than Jaylen's. It's just like a perception thing. He hasn't shot as well, but like points, rebounds, assists, steals are all higher.
I think.
In only 3 less games.
Yeah, I think that with when it comes to Tatum, like I'm not expecting him to take even more of a step up he did last year, but I do expect him to like kind of step up in a way where it's like he changes his play style a bit, where he can still score, but instead of shooting 25 shots in a game and shooting 45%,
Right.
transitioning some of those bad shots that he takes into other opportunities for other guys. That's where I think the Celtics needed some growth, and I don't think they got that yet. It showed in a couple of games. Like in those games against, I think, the Raptors. There was one the other day against the Nuggets.
Mm-hmm.
They had a shit ton of assists in the first quarter. And
Yeah, they've
throughout the
had
whole
games
game,
where they've had like double-digit assists.
early on.
Yeah. There was that weird game against Toronto where like neither of them scored over like 15, I don't think, but both had like over 8 assists, and they won.
Exactly. So I think they need to channel that same play style on those nights, because they've won. When they have high assist numbers, they've won.
That also means guys are hitting shots though, which is not always a given.
Yeah. Right now, I'm looking at it that who has the most total assists on the team right now? Do you know?
I think Jaylen.
It's Jayson.
Really?
At 108, who's number 2?
Oh no, you're right, because I had the averages right in front of me. I don't know why I said Jaylen. I just because Jaylen played more games. I think Tatum has taken that more like playmaker role, even though Jaylen has more turnovers.
Do you know who's number 2?
In total?
Yep.
The way you're asking makes me think it's not actually Jaylen.
It is not.
Tice.
It's Marcus Smart.
Yeah, that checks out.
With only 5 less than Tatum. In
Jesus
6
Christ.
less games. Okay. So
Is that a problem?
like that is a crucial part of their ball movement. And without Marcus Smart right now, can we? You definitely know how to do this. Can we see what our record is without Smart this season?
I
Do we know how to do that? If not, I think I know.
think you have to like pay for it.
Oh, okay, I got it.
There was that tweet though. I forget what it was though. The record without him, it's gotten worse. I think since then.
Yeah, hold on, I got it. I just gotta go lineups without Smart.
Oh yeah. Let me look at something too, because you mentioned the assist numbers. Kind of want to put it up against the league. Yeah, they're third to last in assists per game
Wow. In the league, right?
in the league.
Damn.
22 a
That is-
game. So that's 22 assists on an average of 40 made field goals.
So right here, oh shit. This is a lineup without Smart. This is a lineup without Smart. This one. This one. That one. That one. That one. That one. And that one. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lineups without Marcus Smart.
Mm-hmm.
Let me add up their wins. We have 2, 3, 5 wins, and 2, 4, 6. So 5 and 6 without Smart,
Yeah. It's not good.
which isn't awful.
But,
But
I
it's
mean,
not
it's just
great.
been on par with what they are
So,
this season.
so 5 and 6 without Smart would mean they were. At one point, they were 9 and 7 with him, right?
Yeah.
Or 9, yeah, something like that. So it's not like they did better.
Yeah,
too
no,
much,
that's
but
the same thing with like the Heat, where it was like once Jimmy Butler gets back, they'll be right as rain, and they're still like losing to the Clippers without Kawhi and Paul George. Another question for you. This is like I think if anyone could point out the answer to this, like that would help a lot. But like why do we think like Jaylen and Tatum can't play together? Like it doesn't fit, because I feel like most people would be like, just keep them for the next 10 years. I'll happily take Jaylen and Tatum, and we just have to figure out how to build around them. But like if there are like deeply rooted issues between the two of them, either if it's off the court and it obviously is on the court, like why is that the way it is?
I think that I think they both just want to be that guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think they both want to score and not have to worry about if they want the ball in the fourth quarter. And right now,
Jaylen's not getting it.
no,
We've
he's not
noticed
touching
that.
What is it? 3 straight games now, where like in the fourth
Yes,
quarter
he just
he'll
disappears.
touch it like once or twice in the last 4 minutes.
Yeah.
In the game against what was the game where he shot like, was it Nuggets that we were
Might have
watching?
been,
Where
yeah.
he was shooting like 60% on the game off 20 shots. And at the end of the game, they were having Tatum shoot, and Jaylen is sitting in the corner. Like Tatum drives, and Jayson and Jaylen is wide open in the corner off of a beautiful drive, draws in defenders, and he takes a contested layup, and Jalen's wide open for 3 in the corner. Granted, Tatum made that we noticed
Right.
immediately, but you see that then they force them to call a timeout, and Brown still like with his hands out, like pretending to call for the pass. He drops his hands, drops his head, and walks to the bench, and Tatum just walks away, doesn't look at anyone. He high fives. They each high five Evan Turner on their way to the bench. No one looks at Tatum. No one looks at Brown. Brown is. I'd be disappointed too. You're playing the best basketball you've ever played in your life. You are one of the best basketball players in the world at this point. You've moved your way into the top 25 in the league. 2 of you.
Gonna be an all-star.
On the same team. Yeah. You've proved that you are not a bust, and not that he was ever looking to be a bust.
Late bloomer, kind of.
Yeah. It's just at what point was he going to take that step up?
Right.
Because there was a point in time where like, oh, would you trade him to the Rockets for James Harden?
Well, we thought he was just going to be like a defensive guy.
Yeah.
For a little bit there.
So you look at all this and it's like, okay, so we have 2 top 25 guys in the league who don't seem to play well together. This is their, they've played on USA together, they've played on this team together, and now they're like the leaders of this team with Marcus Smart. It seems like Brown kind of butts heads with a lot of people. I've seen a couple times in games where him and Tristan Thompson kind of, go back and forth. Which reminds me a bit of when Jaylen got into the fight with Marcus Morris. And then when Jaylen got into the fight with Smart. And then when Jaylen and Kyrie questioned each other a few times. So something tells me that Jaylen might have some sort of, I don't know. I feel like he thinks he's like,
It could be that Kyrie complex, bro.
Yeah, where like he thinks he's like this.
But like
and I like him. I think he deserves to have this. I'm my own man. He's well spoken. He doesn't say anything outlandish. I don't know. This sounds super like weirdly judgmental and old school of me. You know what I mean? Like, I think that Jaylen Brown is. I think that he will settle in, and him and Tatum soon, hopefully, will coexist. But they found a way to coexist with Donovan Mitchell on Team USA. Obviously, neither Jaylen or Jayson were at the level that they are now yet. They were getting there, but they weren't there yet.
Mm-hmm.
But they were coexisting with Donovan Mitchell. It seems like they were all friends with each other, and we were like, oh, wow, Kemba, Smart, Donovan, Jayson, and Jaylen all on the same team. That's pretty cool. Like, what if?
Shemmy for Donovan Mitchell.
Exactly. And but then Semi can stop our guys,
That's true, actually. We don't want that happening. Jazz would probably still keep winning.
But we had 4 guys that all were on Team USA together coexisting, and you're like, holy shit, that's so awesome. And then they get here, and it's like fight. And then, you have heads dropping in disappointment. You have guys that don't even talk to each other, no recognition when they score together. I had a moment this year where I felt super cool that Jaylen and Jayson did. It was after... maybe it was Breonna Taylor. Something happened where, and I feel stupid for not remembering it, but something happened where after the game, Jaylen and Jayson, after the game together, did their post game and did a statement in unison. And I was like, oh, that's cool. These 2 guys like speaking up. You
don't see that too often anymore.
Jaylen's the brains, and Jayson is kind of like, I'm here for you, man, and I the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish that you could see that same connection, like keep going throughout the season. But as the last 5 games have gone, the Celtics are struggling, and that doesn't help anybody. It doesn't make anybody happy. But they're struggling, and they're struggling, and no one's happy. And we've seen it. Jaylen Brown head down. Jayson Tatum, walks off, goes and hugs Javonte Green. Yep. I don't really know where this trade line is going to take us, but I hope they stay together, and I hope somebody comes in to unify it all, and I hope they do take a chance on Isaiah Thomas if he pans out for Team USA.
Even if he doesn't,
Yeah.
And I think I forget. I think it might have been Grant Hill. Someone said like young guys coming into the league kind of like equate success to just how many points they score a game instead of like wins. And I feel like both Jaylen and Tatum now kind of like Tatum, I think, wants to be the guy. Like we've seen, he's the guy who has the ball in his hands in like the 4th quarter and clearly doesn't seem comfortable giving it up, even if it's for like a better shot a lot of the times. And Jaylen kind of has like this chip on his shoulder, like trying to prove like he can, be an all-star or whatever. And it doesn't. It seems to me like individual success right now is like over team success to some degree. And I don't know, even just like in an X and O's way, it's just hard, I think, for 2 wings to coexist. It just seems like it's better when you have like a point guard and a big, or like a wing and a big. Just like 2 wings, it's tough, I feel like, because it's, someone's going to have to be off ball, and you're not really running like pick and rolls as much. So it's really like one of them has to have the ball in their hands and make something happen. I feel like that has to do with their assist numbers too, because neither of them are like, I think Jaylen might be better off ball than Tatum. just like coming off screens and stuff like that. I don't know, because it's not like you can have a guy in the low post and run screen and roll, and you have a guy with the ball all the time and kind of like making reads and stuff. You know, it's kind of like here's a Jaylen possession, here's a Tatum possession.
Mm.
And I just don't know if it works.
I agree. I think like each possession, there's like a play drawn up for one person.
Right.
Not like a play with multiple options. Like, oh, if this guy's open off the screen, give it to him. But there's no, like, with the option to take it to the basket. I don't know. I really don't know how. I really just don't know how.
Maybe they should do pick and roll. I don't know. I feel like Tatum, does he have a pick and roll game as a screener? Because you could do a lot of that pick and pop, screen and roll.
Yeah, I wonder.
But then you have like Thompson and Tice. Like, what are they? You're not going to put Thompson in the corner to like stretch the floor while Tatum sets a screen.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. And I wonder if and it's like I was saying, watching the game the other day. Naismith has been playing. We forgot all about him in this entire conversation.
Yeah.
He's taken shots.
He's been fine. I haven't hated what we've seen from him.
Beginning of the season, they gave him an opportunity. They drew up plays specifically for him. He would come off a double screen downhill to the corner, boom, catch, shoot.
Right.
That's not working. That wasn't working then. He was missing his threes. Run up a couple plays for guys like this. Run up plays for guys.
Yeah, I think just getting more ball movement, player movement just helps.
Yeah, maybe the style of play will change and like these guys will adjust. Because right now, like the way they're playing, where it's like, okay, who's gonna run ISO this time? Is it Jaylen or Jayson?
Yeah.
Who's gonna? Yeah. Like,
well, and your off-ball shooters are Shemi and like Grant. And, like, not bad in the corners, but it doesn't seem like they can hit a shot anywhere else on the floor, including, like, in the paint. And we saw, against the Hawks, teams are playing it where if Brown or Tatum doesn't have the ball, there was a time where Teague had it, and he tried to drive, and no one helped off ball. Like, everyone just shut down the shooters, and it's like, we'll just let Jeff Teague try and beat us off the dribble, and he has no one to pass to. And come playoff time, that's gonna be a problem if no one else can generate any offense.
He's our best 3-point shooter percentage-wise on the team.
Teague?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I could be completely wrong, but I'm almost positive.
That he goes
let me see,
2 for 5 every game.
Jeff Teague is shooting 42% from 3. He's shooting 0.7 of 1.7.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You have Grant Williams is next with 41.5. Pritchard with 41 on the dot. And then Brown, Tice, Tatum. We have Pritchard and I think Pritchard and someone else. Maybe it's Jayson?
Yeah.
Oh, no. It's just Pritchard that's flirting with 50, 40, 90. He's shooting 93% on the season from free throw, 41 from 3, and 48 from 2. From the field in general. I don't know. It's so broken right now, and they need to fix it. But I think going back to Blake, I think John Collins
solves
is a
everything.
Band-Aid.
Blake Griffin is the solution.
I think John Collins is a Band-Aid over a stab wound. It's gonna keep bleeding eventually.
That's what I'm saying. We need to think long term a little bit about this, because if we're trying to let's not be too rash about it. I do think the way to improve this team isn't going to be through the draft. So I think those first round picks should be in play here 100%. Because we don't have time to develop more guys and random people that Danny likes in and get hurt and whatever. We don't need to deal with that. I think I don't know if it's this year or next year, but I think make those picks available. Maybe if anyone has any interest in those prospects.
At what point do you put a block on a certain group of picks? What point do you stop trading picks? Because say this all fails and you have to like blow it up. You
I
have
mean-
to have like that protection plan where you're like, all right, well, this is failing. We got to blow this up. At least we have our picks.
I mean, you can look at, like, it happened to the Nets, right? So they gave up all their picks, and they sucked for, like, 2 years. And they kind of, they drafted Karras. They got Dinwiddie. Kind of rebuilt it to get to a point where it's, like, an attractive place for free agents. I don't think it's, like, I mean, this is kind of like a extreme hypothetical. Because, I mean, Tatum just signed a contract. Jaylen's, I think it around
just
for
signed a
next.
contract.
I mean, if they demand it, I mean, they can any time demand a trade, I guess, at any moment. But at least you get something out of them. I don't know. I think to answer your question, like, I'd say picks in the next 3-4 years should all be fair game.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, you can go farther if you want. I don't know. You'll get them back eventually, and you'll have cap space. If your team sucks, maybe you can get someone in free agency. It's not the end of the
Now
world.
you have to go all in.
Or you trade for Blake Griffin, or someone like Blake Griffin. So,
Goodbye.
okay. We just dropped an hour on the Celtics, bro.
I think they needed an hour.
They did. There's a lot to unpack here. Resident Celtics expert Brian Diaz.
No, not Celtics ever.
I'm looking forward to Ben Simmons and Bill Simmons, and I think Kevin O'Connor's his name, did a recent one about the Celtics. So I haven't got a chance to listen to that. I'm sure
I'll
Bill
have to
will
listen
be
to that too. Is that
upset.
Bill Simmons' podcast, or is this a?
I think it was, yeah. It's on the Ringer. Either way, I forget if it's his or something else, but
The NBA show one that has like the similar to the Baller Scholar intro, where it's like, you are now listening to.
Let's go.
Yeah, I don't know.
But let's see. Upcoming, we got Hawks Friday, Pelicans Sunday, Mavs, and then Hawks again. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, you play Hawks.
We got to
3
figure out the
times in a
Hawks,
week.
huh? Because if they can't keep beating us 3 out of 5 games, that's
I think
nuts.
you, like,
Pacers,
for any
Wizards.
FanDuel
after
users, you have to play Trey against the Celtics every night.
that. I guess just any star player. I mean, you look at
Yeah.
Jokic went off, Beal
unfortunately.
went off. I guess Pistons. I don't think anyone did Sadiq Bey. I don't know if that counts.
Yeah, that does count. That's.
I mean, the
no worse.
Celtics basically gave him the confidence. Now they sat Blake to no, we're running with Sadiq Bey now.
Is Blake sitting?
Yeah.
Oh,
Until
wow.
they figure
I
out
didn't
his
know that.
future.
Yeah, I understand.
So, because you have Sadiq Bey now, boy. It's
At
crazy.
least they're planning ahead. They're like,
Well-
let's get these guys run. Blake's out.
Yeah, I mean, are you saying we do the same thing with Tatum and Brown?
Yeah, Tatum and Brown are out. Let's get Naismith and Carson some run.
Oh boy, what a mess. No flexibility with trades. It's over, dude.
There's zero flexibility.
There's just
But you talked about some packages today.
yeah.
I mean,
I did mention Jabari. I kind of like that.
I like Jabari a lot, and I think.
I didn't realize he was only 25 still.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still,
2 busted knees.
and he's averaged 20 a game in the season. Yeah, granted, no pop probably in those knees anymore.
No. Except maybe there will be pops.
But-
Wrong type.
I mean, Javante also just blew out his knee trying to go up for a layup the other day.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I was trying to look for other guys like that are real high talent guys that were drafted early on that just didn't pan out, but could maybe.
You look at Jahlil and Jabari. It's 2 Duke guys who have shown that they can be a spark. I mean, Jabari was a threat for a triple double every night at one point.
Yeah, he was sick.
Like a playmaking.
When healthy, he was dope.
Combo big, essentially, where he could pass the ball, he could shoot the ball, he could put it on the ground and take it to the basket, he could rebound, he could defend. Obviously, no pop anymore. Like you said, there's no bounce in his step.
Maybe he doesn't need it.
Yeah, maybe
He'd just be
not.
like Thaddeus Young.
Exactly.
Thaddeus Young
like
doesn't have
another
any,
guy.
he's never had any bounce.
So
No offense.
Jabari hasn't played 1 minute all season.
Yeah, he's just been a healthy scratch every game.
So, like, what's the point if you're the Kings? I mean, Luke Walton, like, can go fuck himself. He's
It's funny
he's
too
awful.
because Jabari took his player option for like $7 million just to like sit on the bench, I guess. Because I guess he's just not a part of their plans.
For him, it's probably what's it called? A financial decision. How much time does Jabari have left?
Yeah, no, it's definitely smart.
A chance.
Although it makes me worried a little bit about like what his like mindset is.
Yeah,
but,
if that's what he's taking.
I mean, you never know when you switch environments what kind of guy you'll get because things, depending on the rotation and coaching and the guys around him, who knows what could happen. I mean, he's never played on recently hasn't played on a great team. So
I did say Jabari was a triple-double threat. I think he had a couple of triple-doubles, but he wasn't a threat every night.
Hey, man, they're all triple-double threats.
His best season in 2016, he played 51 games, which is his third most.
Yeah.
His second most was 64. His most was 76. He was 20.1, 3 assists, and 6 rebounds.
Yeah. I mean, that's like John Collins right now, basically. So you just get like a worse version of John Collins with no knees.
For Sacramento last season, he was 8.5. And this was in 6 games in 13 minutes. He was 8.5.
Yeah, dude.
2 assists and
his per 36 got to be pretty damn good.
Yeah, and then even the year before for Atlanta, 32 games, 15, 6, and 2.
I'd like to see him get a chance somewhere. Like if it's not Boston, like at least let him play. Free Jabari.
Agreed.
So might be someone worth targeting. I don't know. It's like a low risk kind of guy.
His per 36 last season was 23, 10, and 5.
There you go. That's what he'd average. He'd get 36 on the Celtics. So
then you
can safely pencil that in.
That was his best season by far in per 36. But still, I mean.
Yeah, I mean they probably just threw him in at garbage time and he just got buckets,
He hasn't played a full season with one team. He hasn't. He hasn't played more than 50 games in a season since 2018.
Hey, it's a shortened season, so maybe he doesn't need to.
Yeah,
you just need 35 out of him.
You bring somebody like Jabari in, Emmanuel Moody wouldn't be bad for bench depth. I mean,
I threw his name out there too because I was looking through other drafts of early picks. He's not on the team right now. I don't know. He hasn't been out of the NBA that long.
Moody, you look at IT. We talked about. There's a bunch of guys killing in this G League thing.
There really are, dude. Some of the numbers coming out of there are kind of crazy. Can you just sign a guy off another team's G League squad?
I don't really know.
Or you'd have to. I think you might have to trade for him, but probably second round pick.
And then you have.
Jared Jack. Why not?
Fuck that.
Who says no?
Me.
Nick Stauskas.
You have dudes around the league who come off the bench and put up decent numbers. I'm just trying to think. Luke Kennard was not a bad pickup for the Clippers, but then they pay him.
Yeah, no. That contract's brutal. Yeah, I think the Celtics kind of blew in this free agency too a little bit.
A guy that I look at is Malik Monk.
Yeah, I like him a lot.
Maybe a chance?
Maybe I don't like him that much, actually.
I don't like him that much, but I don't see, how much is...
I mean, he'll throw up a couple,
asking?
6 threes a game, why not? He's got to be 22, probably, something like that.
Yeah.
Still young.
Let's see.
At least he has the potential of, he's shown he can score 30 every once in a while.
He just turned 23 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, so... Another young guy, I mean... I don't know. If you're a Celtics, I think in terms of your timeline, you're kind of win now, more or less. Giannis is going to be in Milwaukee forever, probably.
Well, not even win now.
It doesn't have to be win now necessarily, but you have to win enough.
Super young.
You got to win enough.
Brown and Tatum are super young. Go in for a championship now. Compete. Show them that they can compete for a championship, these two, before they get bored. Before it's too late. Don't try to win one like for example, if Milwaukee won the champion, say they won the championship in the bubble.
Yeah.
That's at the last stage of Giannis. Do you think if they won last year, he leaves or stays? Well, he stayed now. But, do you think maybe he moves on because he gave Milwaukee what he needed? You know what I mean? There's so many question marks there. Yeah. Why don't you try to create a dynasty? Win it when they're young. Win it.
So you are saying it's win now, basically.
I think you have to try to win early.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to, risk, oh, we'll do it next year, we'll do it next year, we'll do it next year.
Yeah, it's tough because you either... If you go, full force all out this year and it, doesn't pan out and you're, scrambling next year and the next year, that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But also, if you don't do enough this year because you're planning for next year and then, these guys are pissed about it, then that's not good. So you have to do, a balance of, I think it's just... You got to win enough, got to be competitive enough.
Mm-hmm.
But, there's no there's no reason to panic long term yet.
I don't know. I'm pressing the panic button just because of how disappointing it is. Speaking of, I know we're talking about Isaiah Thomas a bit ago, but those games are tomorrow and Saturday.
Right on. I'll keep an eye out for how those go.
Tomorrow at 4:30, the USA plays the Bahamas.
Right on. DeAndre Ayton.
Let's go. And then they play Mexico on Saturday.
Chicharito.
That's yeah. I was gonna say racist, but no.
I mean,
just the wrong sport.
He's a two-sport athlete, Point guard.
Yeah, I'm just learning.
Last thing I want to talk about the Celtics because we really have, I feel exhausted pretty much maybe not, I don't know. Just always talk about the Celtics. How much of this, I know Danny Ainge says it's not on Brad Stevens, but at this point, are you, if you're not Danny Ainge, is Brad Stevens kind of on the hot seat right now?
For me, I like him. I love Brad. I always had.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, it's so frustrating watching him coach this team and how they end up carrying out what they do.
Yeah.
I think right now he's on the hot seat, but I wouldn't pull the trigger until.
Yeah.
A little later on in the season or after the season. I think if he's on the hot seat, but for a long-term hot seat, at the end of this season, not right now.
Slow burn.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Well, it's also just him opposed to who, who else are you gonna get at this point?
Yeah, you have Jay Larranaga.
Maybe it's just you get a good assist. I feel maybe Evan Turner. I feel could be this guy that's just a player-friendly guy in the locker room.
He's 36 or something.
Yeah. I forgot. He's a second overall pick, Evan Turner.
Yeah, why don't he just come out?
He's the guy that's, drafted high. Probably 32?
32.
Yeah. It's kind of sad, actually, when you think about it. I feel he probably could have played a little longer. Maybe not.
I think it's just more...
I actually could have used him. He was a bigger ball handler,
He got his money.
Basically ran the point for that team.
He got that 7-year deal.
Yeah.
And he retired.
Bring KG. Get him on the coaching staff.
Or, there's all these, broadcasters right now. You have Mark Jackson, you have Van Gundy, you have...
Brian Scalabrine.
Exactly. Kyle Draper.
I'm trying to think oh, God. You know what? That's fine. Don't ever mention that name again, though, please.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm trying to think, Chauncey Billups, I think, was kind of rumored to be... he's now with the Clippers staff.
Yeah.
Did he start in Boston? I want to say he played for Boston or was going to.
I think he was, when he
Rich
was
history, I don't know. There's just... This team needs some kind of change. It's just, where does it come from,
Chauncey Billups played in 51 games, started in 44 for the Celtics.
There you go. Bring him back.
11
Hope there's no bad
4.5
blood.
assists, 2 rebounds, and a couple of steals.
And that's
Damn,
awesome.
1998 was a crazy year.
Oh, he got traded for like nobody. Oh, he did get traded for a guy named Popeye Jones. That's pretty cool.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so maybe he doesn't like Boston. I don't know.
There's guys that would be willing to coach this duo. I think.
Oh yeah, I mean, it'd be sick.
Everybody around the league is envious of this duo. You talk about Pop, loves them, high praise all the time. Steve Kerr, compares them to Steph and Clay. These guys have a high praise. Everybody in the league wants these guys. I think it was Steve Kerr that said it. Everybody would be envious to be in this position to have those guys. But are they envious to have Javante and Semi Ojeleye starting lineup together?
No, thank you.
Yeah.
They need the Draymond, bro. If they're Steph and Clay, they need a Draymond. Because those guys didn't win a title without Draymond.
It's supposed to be Kemba, man.
Yeah.
It's just they need a big guy.
Maybe they trade for Draymond.
Oh god, they need a big guy to wrap it all together. Yeah. I don't know if Drummond's that guy, but there's this dude in New Orleans, Zion.
Oh,
that'd be cool.
Something like Shemi, Carson, Jeff Teague. For Zion, I don't know. Just spitballing here. Who says no? Yeah, I saw something that was like Drummond. Some executive said Drummond will get you 30 and 20 and have no impact on the game. And I was like, that makes no sense, but all right. Because I'm pretty sure if you get 20 rebounds, that is 20 possessions that the other team did not get. So just by default, he definitely had an impact on the game. I get what he's saying because Drummond's never really played in a playoff team.
Yeah.
That's won a series or whatever. But I still feel like, I don't think he's a personality problem. He has a lot of money. And you don't know long term. But
Drummond, I'll be honest.
He's never been a problem, right? He's always played on bad teams.
From the outside looking in, it looks dope.
Yeah.
That guy's sick, but
can't shoot free throws, which is a little bit you can't play late in games, basically.
Yeah.
Which could be a problem. But Tristan can't either, so.
But they still have him in. He's been hitting his free throws, luckily.
That's true. When they did the hack of Tristan, he actually,
made him pay. Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. We'll see, because there's a lot of things that could happen. I feel like we're in a very important moment in the season for the Celtics now at 500, and it could go a couple of ways. So, we'll see.
I think, actually, let's see, Tatum might have just posted something, but it just disappeared on me. Let me try to... There it is. Oh.
Okay. I was hoping this was going to be a silver lining to end on that Tatum did some positive post.
He basically shut out Bradley Beal and congratulated him on making the All-Star game, and he said they got it right, which is...
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's tough.
Yeah.
I was going to say that's a dig at Kyrie, but it's definitely not. Ugh. Perfect. So you heard it here first, folks. Tatum will be traded to the Washington Wizards for Bertans and Denny Ajia.
No, not even. It's going to be... You heard it here first. Give me a team that shouldn't be around anymore.
Like the Vancouver Grizzlies?
No.
What do you mean?
Sacramento Kings have relocated to St. Louis, and Jayson Tatum and Bradley Beal are moving into their St. Louis homes to play there.
In the expansion draft, they both put in their names. That's funny.
Celtics freed Jayson Tatum for Yogi Ferrell.
For all the 2K75 overalls that you get to pick from.
CJ Miles, Yogi Ferrell.
DeLon Wright. That's all you need.
Exactly.
Oh, boy.
Fucking Celtics, man.
Hey, man. You can't live without them. You can't live with them, That's what it's like being a sports fan out here in New England, huh?
And tomorrow I'm going to tune into this Hawks game, watch us get wrecked by Trae Young.
Maybe. Maybe not. Kemba will be playing. We'll see if he makes a difference. I'm assuming.
Hopefully. I mean,
He plays.
God. Celtics money line tomorrow.
I wonder what the spread will be.
Want me to look?
Have they said it yet?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Boston 4.5. That seems a little generous.
Let's see.
I mean, considering how bad they played last time and only lose by 8. You know.
Just
trying to stay positive here.
No, and listen, I appreciate that.
And Vegas is staying positive by favoring the Celtics, you know?
Yeah, I mean, God.
What would you put it at? Hawks by
I don't know.
12.5.
Question mark.
It's almost just put it like even almost, you know? It's a toss-up.
I think you can't not favor the Celtics, you know?
Matchup predictor has them winning 61.8%.
I would just probably put the odds for that at like Hawks plus 190 and Celtics at minus 125. Yeah.
Neither team's hot. Coming into this game, Hawks 3-7 in the last 10, Celtics 4-6.
Yeah, someone's got to win, someone's got to lose.
That's the game of basketball, folks.
On that note,
thanks, Brian.
Celtics suck. No, thanks, Matt.
This was good. I think you got to exercise some more Celtics demons a little bit. Hopefully, we come in a little clear-headed against the Hawks.
We didn't really talk about what we want them to do. We just talked about what we didn't want them to do and what we maybe hoped for them to do.
Because there's really nothing left for them to do, bro. There's just nothing makes sense.
Anything they do here on out is going to surprise me.
Yeah, who knows, bro? I feel like they will end up not doing anything.
Oh, God, that would be sick.
Clearly, Danny Ainge thinks something's wrong, so hopefully he does something about it.
They're going to force something if nothing comes naturally. They'll, trade Kemba for, J.J. Redick.
And Lonzo.
He is our new point guard.
Well, the weird thing with Griffin and Drummond is it's a weird stalemate where it's are you guys gonna buy them out so we can sign them for cheap, or are we gonna have to trade for them because we don't want them to go somewhere else, but we don't want to trade for them, you know?
Well, then you'll get to that point where teams are like our Blake Griffin and so have mutual interest if reaching a buyout agreement.
Right.
So then you have guys like.
But then that screws the Pistons
any
over.
last minute offers.
Right.
Well, yeah. So then the Pistons start fielding offers, but in no time you're gonna have.
Someone will probably throw something at him. Maybe not.
Blake is looking to return to the Clippers after burying the hatchet with Steve Ballmer.
Who knows, man? At least Drummond is on an expiring, so he's a little more
But again, like you said,
approachable.
Those expirings, do you want to trade for those?
Well, it depends the price, my friend. All depends on the price.
We will see.
And we all pay it. And that is that.
You just listened to another episode of the Baller Scholar Podcast.